Hey Hillside. Well, today or this week, I have a little bit of a moment of humility video for you. I was all ready to film a video, and I had an idea, and it was from what I was going to share this week was going to be from our young adults small group again. What we had dug into the last verses of Philippians 4, and we all thought we had seen this new or something in the scripture that we hadn't seen before in a very common, passage, and that was in Philippians 4 in um, verse 12 when Paul writes that in any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. And I thought, oh, like facing plenty and facing hunger, facing abundance and facing need. So he talks about both the good and the bad as something he has to face. And so I thought that's interesting, and we all talked about that, and how we're like, oh, I guess it could be, in times of abundance and in times of plenty, there is kind of, you could have an inkling of having proud moments of pride, or thinking that you're getting comfortable and not growing, or of not attributing it rightly to God and thanking Him for it. And so we thought maybe that's what he means by facing plenty. So just like in facing need in all things, just that idea of staying totally reliant on God. And so before I was getting ready to film the video, I thought, oh, I'm going to look up what that word facing in the Greek and what it meant then, and give a little bit more of an idea of what Paul meant. And so when I pulled up, normally where I do that, that passage or that translation is a little more, basically as close as you can get to word for word translation, because it uses the Greek words, in parallel. And when I read it in that context and then the word for word, it totally lost all that interpretation. Just wasn't there. It didn't work. And so I was kind of bummed. I was like, oh, dang, I thought that we had this great idea and insight, and now it's gone. And so at first I thought, well, now I have no video. But then I realized that it wasn't that I no longer had a video. I just had a totally different video to share. And that is just a moment of, we all make mistakes, and have those moments, but also just reminded me of the importance of really diligently studying and asking for discernment when we study the Word, and not just in our own study, but also when we're listening to other people and teachings from other people, and just that inkling of, sure, when you're reading the scripture, you might find something in a verse or a passage that you had never seen before. But if you look into it and you look it up, if there's truth to it, then odds are that other people are going to have seen that, and what you find is going to back that up. If you think that you found something that no one else has ever seen before in Scripture, or if you're listening to a teaching and someone says that they have had this revelation from God that no one else has ever heard before, it's very, very unlikely that God has given you some insight that He has given no individual for 2,000 years prior. So just being careful, wary of those things, and praying about those things. And it's also another reason of why we're so much better together, because when we read scripture and see things or hear things, we can bounce those ideas off of each other and keep each other kind of accountable in that way. And so yeah, I just wanted to share that with you, that to not believe, there are a lot of false teachers out there, and there are a lot of, and there can even be good things in that, what we read, that it is important to stay rooted in God even in times of plenty, and not fall into the traps of being comfortable or being proud. It doesn't mean that that's not a true thing. It just means that wasn't what that verse that he was saying in that verse. So yeah, think about that as you go through next week. And next week I will be in Tennessee in the Smokies. We're finally taking our honeymoon. So I won't see you next week, but have a great week, and I'll see you when I get back.